Eli Vance sat quietly in the common room of the Galactic Academy of Unified Species. Outside the large glass window, he could see the stars shining like tiny diamonds in the darkness. Ships passed by slowly, glowing with soft lights. It had been another long day of training, and Eli was ready to relax. Just as he picked up his datapad to read, a small light blinked on the table. A message had arrived. Curious, he tapped it open. You are formally invited to visit Threxis, homeworld of the Threxian people. This invitation is issued by High Matron Celana of House Virex. Eli blinked. The name Virex was familiar. That was his friend Virilan's family name. She was one of the few Threxians studying at the academy, and they had become close during survival training in the desert simulation. She was strong, smart, and had a strange but fun sense of humor. But this message wasn't from Virilan. It was from her mother. Eli read the message again. It wasn't just a friendly visit. It was a formal invitation from a Threxian matriarch, which meant it was serious. Very serious. He stood up quickly and walked to the communication center. There he found Virilan sitting at a terminal, her forearms moving quickly across the controls. Her deep purple skin shimmered under the blue lights. Virilan, Eli said. I got a message. From your mother. Virilan looked up. Her eyes, which were brighter than any human's, locked onto his. She didn't look surprised. In fact, she looked nervous. I was hoping you'd say yes, she said softly. Eli raised an eyebrow. You knew? She asked me about you. I told her you were different from most humans. Brave, clever. You saved me, remember? Eli remembered. During the desert simulation, a system glitch caused real danger. A sandstorm came in too fast. One of the emergency shelters failed. Virilan had fallen into a ravine, and Eli had climbed down using his belt and rope to pull her out. You would have done the same, he said. Virilan smiled, but only for a moment. That's not how Threxians see it. You risked your life for someone not of your species. That means something to my people, especially to my mother. Eli sat down, confused. But why does she want me to visit? I mean, I'm flattered, but this feels like more than a thank you. Virilan hesitated, then leaned in. In Threxian culture, a mother only invites someone to her home for one of two reasons: to honor them, or to test them. Test me? Eli frowned. Test me for what? I don't know, she said. But my mother is not someone who acts without purpose. If she invited you, it means she sees potential, or danger. Eli looked down at the blinking message, his stomach twisted with a mix of fear and curiosity. Just then, a voice came from behind them. You've been summoned, Cadet Vance? It was Commander Arlen, one of the Academy's human instructors. He was tall and serious, with silver hair and eyes that had seen many stars. Yes, sir, Eli said, standing quickly. A formal invitation from a Threxian matron. Commander, Arlen nodded slowly, then glanced at Virilan. Did she explain what that means? Somewhat, Eli said. The commander stepped closer. Let me tell you something. Threxians don't invite lightly. Their homes aren't just buildings. They are part of their identity. When a Threxian mother invites you in, she is opening more than a door. She is revealing her thoughts, her bloodline, and sometimes her plans. What should I do? Eli asked. Commander Arlan looked him in the eye. You go. You go with respect, open eyes, and a sharp mind. But remember, you're not just a guest, you're being watched. Eli nodded. Understood. Later, that night in his quarters, Eli packed his things. He didn't know what to expect. Would he be honored? Tested? Both? He looked out the window again, this time toward the direction of Threxis. It was a beautiful but dangerous world, known for its high cities and wild storms. But what scared him more than the storms was the question he couldn't answer. Why did his alien friend's mother invite him to her home? The journey to Threxis took 2 standard days. Eli sat near the window of the small academy shuttle, watching stars streak past like silver rain. He had traveled to many planets before, but this trip felt different. His chest was tight, not from fear, but from the weight of something he couldn't name. As the ship entered Threxian space, the view changed. Threxis floated like a deep violet marble wrapped in clouds. Lightning danced through the thick storm layers. From above, it looked dangerous, but beautiful. A soft voice came through the intercom. "Cadet Vance, prepare for landing." Eli stood and checked his uniform. It was clean, simple, and formal, black with a silver stripe. He wore no weapons. Threxian customs didn't allow guests to bring arms into the home. That alone made him feel exposed. The shuttle landed on a wide platform in the sky, thousands of meters above the surface. The city floated on anti-gravity supports resting above the deadly storms below. Tall towers of dark crystal reached toward the clouds, glowing with inner light. Threxians believed their buildings should reflect their family's soul, cold on the outside, alive on the inside. A group waited for him. In front stood Virelan, dressed in dark robes with gold threads. Her usual smile was missing. "You made it," she said quietly. Eli nodded. "Still wondering why I'm here?" "You'll find out soon," she replied. "My mother does not speak until the moment is right." The group led him through wide halls with glowing walls. Everything was silent, too silent. The floor was smooth and warm under his boots. Strange symbols glowed as he passed, like the house was watching him. Finally, they reached a large door carved from a single block of purple stone. It opened with a soft hum. Inside was a circular chamber with high walls and no windows. In the center stood a tall figure, Virelan's mother. High Matron Silana was impressive. She was taller than most Threxians, with 4 long arms and markings on her skin that glowed gently in the dim light. Her eyes were sharp, like they could cut through stone. Around her stood 4 advisors, each silent as statues. "Human," Silana said, her voice calm but heavy. "You are welcome in House Virex. Few of your kind have stepped here. Fewer still have left changed." Eli bowed politely. "Thank you, High Matron. I'm honored to be here." She stepped closer. Her movements were slow and graceful, like a dancer in water. "Do you know what it means when a Threxian mother invites a guest to her home?" Eli shook his head. "No, Matron." "It means," she said, "you are either a danger or a hope." Eli's eyes narrowed. "Which one am I?" She gave a small smile. "We shall see." She turned to the side and made a gesture. A table rose from the floor, smooth and black. Food appeared, fruits, meats, and glowing liquids. It all looked strange but smelled pleasant. "You will eat with us tonight," Silana said. "Tomorrow your purpose begins." Virelan sat beside him, quiet. Eli wanted to ask more, but the silence in the room told him this was not the time for questions. They ate in silence except for the soft sounds of dishes being moved. Every move had a rhythm. It felt less like dinner and more like a ceremony. After the meal, Silana stood. "You will rest now. Virelan will show you to your room. Sleep well, Eli Vance. You are part of something older than you understand." Eli bowed again. "Yes, Matron." As he followed Virelan through more quiet halls, he whispered, "You could have warned me this was going to be so intense." She gave him a sideways glance. "If I did, would you have come?" "Maybe," he said, "but I would have packed extra socks." She smiled. Finally, they stopped at a door. "This is your room. It listens to you. So speak clearly. If you have questions, and wait until morning." "Wait, Virelan," Eli said before she left. "Why do I feel like I'm not just a guest here?" She didn't answer. Instead, she placed one hand on his shoulder. "You're not a guest, Eli. You're a choice." Then she walked away, leaving him alone. Inside the room, the walls glowed with soft blue light. A bed shaped like a pod waited in the center. Eli sat down, trying to process everything. Threxis was beautiful but strange. Silana was kind but distant. Virelan was his friend. But now even she felt different. What did it mean to be a choice? What was coming next? As he lay back and closed his eyes, one thing was clear. He wasn't here by accident, and tomorrow he would find out why. The next morning, Eli woke early. The soft blue light of his room shifted gently as the pod bed sensed his movement. He sat up, heart beating faster. Today would be the day he learned the reason behind the invitation. Virelin appeared quietly in the doorway, her eyes alert but calm. "Ready?" Eli nodded, swallowing his nervousness. "As ready as I'll ever be." They walked through the silent halls to a room larger than any Eli had seen before. The walls shimmered with moving lights that seemed to dance like stars. In the center was a round platform, just big enough for one person to stand. High Matron Silana stood beside it, flanked by her 4 advisors. Her expression was serious, but Eli sensed something deeper, an unspoken respect. "Eli Vance," she said, voice firm but not harsh. "Your visit here is more than hospitality. It is a test, an ancient trial passed down by generations of Threxians. No human has ever faced it before." Eli swallowed hard. He looked to Virelin, who gave him a small nod of encouragement. "The trial has 3 parts," Silana explained. "Each reflects a core value of our people: honor, insight, and bond. Passing these tests means you understand us, and we understand you. Fail, and you return home with the truth that you were not ready." Eli's mind raced. He had trained for physical tests, for survival simulations, but this was different. This was personal. Silana raised her hand and the platform lit up with a soft golden glow. "The first trial begins now," she said. Eli stepped onto the platform. Immediately, the lights shifted and the room around him changed. He was no longer in a chamber but standing in the middle of a vast desert, scorching sun beating down, the sky a harsh white. His heart jumped. This was no ordinary simulation. It was a memory. His worst memory. He saw a younger version of himself running toward a broken spaceship wreckage. There was smoke, alarms, and people calling for help. He remembered that day clearly. A sudden explosion sent dust into the air. Eli's younger self froze. Ahead were 2 paths, one leading to his injured brother trapped under debris, the other to a group of colonists needing rescue. His mind screamed to save his brother, but time was short. He had to choose. Eli's breath caught as the scene replayed, the moment he made his choice, to help the colonists first, leaving his brother behind. Tears welled in his eyes. He had never forgiven himself. Suddenly a voice echoed through the desert scene. "Explain your choice." Eli looked around. No one was there, but the question felt real. He took a deep breath and spoke aloud. "I chose the many over one," he said slowly. "It was a painful choice, but saving the colonists meant more lives survived. I carry the guilt every day, but I accept it. I made the best decision I could with what I knew." The desert scene began to fade. Eli felt weight lifting. From his chest, the light shifted again. He was back in the chamber. Silana's voice was calm but approving. "You have shown honor, truth in action, even when it is hard." Eli nodded, still feeling the sting of his memory. "The second trial will test your insight." Before he could ask, the platform glowed once more. The walls around him dissolved into a starry night sky. A quiet voice spoke. "You will listen to a conversation. Your task is to understand the true meaning, beyond words." Eli looked ahead. 2 figures appeared, talking in the soft, clicking language of the Threxians. But the real message was not in their words. It was in their silence, in the space between phrases, in their body language. He remembered Virelin explaining how Threxians communicated more with unspoken signals than speech. Eli focused carefully. The pauses, the tilt of the heads, the blinking of eyes, all held meaning. After several minutes, the figures finished their talk and disappeared. A panel lit up with several possible meanings of the conversation. Eli read each carefully. One choice stood out, one that spoke of a hidden alliance, trust given but not yet earned. He selected it. The chamber hummed softly. Silana nodded. Insight requires more than listening. It demands understanding what is not said. You have passed. The second trial. Eli felt a strange pride. He was learning their ways. Last is the trial of bond, Silana said. This will test your instinct and loyalty. The room darkened. Eli felt the platform move under his feet, and then stop. When the lights returned, he was outside in a dense forest. The air was cool and full of strange scents. In front of him stood a large creature, massive, covered in scales with eyes glowing amber. The creature growled softly, muscles tense. A figure lay behind the beast. It was Viralan, unconscious. Silana's voice came through again. You must save her by any means necessary. The choice is yours. Fight or find another way. Eli's hand went to his side, but there was no weapon. The beast moved forward, threatening. Eli's heart pounded. He remembered the lessons of trust and insight. Instead of reaching for a weapon, Eli stepped forward calmly. He spoke softly in the Threxian language, words Viralan had taught him. The beast paused, tilting its head. Eli lowered himself to its level, showing he meant no harm. Slowly, the creature relaxed, stepping aside. Viralan stirred and opened her eyes. The lights returned to the chamber. Silana's face was unreadable. You chose bond over violence. This shows a strength beyond power. You have completed the trials. Eli exhaled deeply, feeling a mix of relief and pride. Viralan smiled faintly. Silana's voice softened. But the meaning of these trials is not yet fully revealed. Eli knew his journey was only just beginning. Eli sat quietly in the chamber after finishing the trials. His heart still raced from the last test. He had faced his deepest fears, learned to read alien signs, and trusted a creature stronger than himself. But now, a new question weighed on his mind. What did it all mean? High Matron Silana's eyes held a strange light as she approached him. You have shown great strength, Eli Vance. But the trials only prove your spirit. There is something else we must understand. Eli looked up, curious. What do you mean, Matron? Silana turned to one of her advisors, who nodded. Then she spoke again. Tell him of Earth's shadow. Viralan stepped forward. My mother means the history of your homeworld. Earth is not just your origin. It carries wounds that still affect the galaxy. Eli frowned. Wounds? Viralan nodded. Centuries ago, humans fought wars that spread far beyond your planet. Those actions created fear and mistrust among many species. Some still see humans as dangerous. Eli felt a pang of shame. I know. Not all humans are good, but many of us want peace. Silana's voice was firm. The past cannot be changed, but the future can. We must see if you can carry Earth's shadow without letting it darken your heart. Suddenly, the chamber changed again. The walls dissolved into a scene from Earth, a city at night, bright lights shining beneath a calm sky. Eli recognized the place immediately. His hometown. He saw himself as a child, running through streets filled with laughter and music. The scene was peaceful, but as he watched, it shifted. The sky darkened, sirens wailed, chaos erupted. People ran, shouting. Buildings burned. Fear filled the air. Eli's young self stood frozen, unsure where to go. The memory was sharp. He remembered the city riots during his childhood, times when people fought each other, driven by fear and anger. A voice echoed again. Why do you carry this memory? Eli swallowed hard. Because it reminds me that peace is fragile, that fear can tear people apart. I carry it to remember what to fight for. The scene shifted once more. Eli now saw humans and aliens working side by side, rebuilding the city together. Smiles returned. Hands joined. The voice spoke again. Can you teach others to build this bond? To rise above shadows? Eli nodded firmly. I want to try. The vision faded. The chamber returned to its soft blue light. Silana stepped forward. Your heart is true, human, but you must show that your world's past will not poison your future. Eli looked at Viralan. She smiled proudly. You're closer than you think. Suddenly the doors opened and the advisors returned. Silana turned to them. Prepare for the next stage. Eli realized the trials were only the beginning. The real test was building trust, not just for himself but for all humans. He felt a new determination rising. He wasn't just here to prove himself. He was here to change what others thought about humanity. As he left the chamber, Viralan whispered, This is your chance, Eli. To be more than a guest. To be a bridge. Eli looked out over the city towers of Threxis, shining through the storm clouds. He took a deep breath. Tomorrow, the future begins. The next morning, Eli woke feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today was the day of the second trial's deeper test, the trial of insight. He had passed the first test of honor and faced the challenge of Earth's shadow. Now the High Matron and her advisors wanted to see if he could understand the unspoken ways of the Threxian people. Viralan met him in the hall. Ready for today? Eli nodded. I hope so. Insight sounds tricky. She smiled softly. It is. But I believe in you. They walked together to a small room decorated with glowing patterns on the walls. Inside, two elderly Threxians sat, facing each other. Their language was soft clicking sounds, mixed with subtle movements of their forearms and body shifts. Eli listened closely. At first, the conversation seemed simple. The elders spoke about the upcoming harvest and the weather. But as Eli watched, he realized the true meaning was not in their words, but in what they did not say. A slight pause, a glance sideways, a slow blink. It was a silent conversation, running alongside the spoken one. Viralan whispered, Threxians trust silence as much as speech, sometimes more. Eli tried to focus on every detail, the tilt of a head, the rise of an eyebrow, the subtle change in breathing. He thought about the lessons Viralan had shared about their culture, how respect and trust were shown through careful silence and small gestures. After several minutes, the elders ended their talk. The advisors turned to Eli and asked, What did they truly mean? Eli thought hard. Then he answered, They spoke of the harvest, yes, but beneath that, they spoke of caution. There is a hidden concern about the weather's change. They are unsure if this year will be good or bad. They also spoke of a secret plan to protect the harvest from possible storms. The room was silent for a moment. Then Silana nodded slowly. You see beyond the surface. You understand the layers beneath. This is true insight. Eli smiled, feeling proud. But Silana was not finished. Insight also means seeing differences without fear. It means accepting new ideas while respecting old ones. Eli looked at Viralan, then at the elders who watched him carefully. Suddenly, the advisors presented him with a puzzle, a complex riddle based on Threxian history and culture. It involved symbols, old stories, and unusual logic. Eli studied the puzzle. It was hard. The answer was not written anywhere. He had to think in ways unfamiliar to him. He remembered the silent conversation and used the same patience and attention. Minutes passed. Eli rearranged symbols in his mind and spoke his answer slowly. The advisors listened carefully. Then one smiled and said, You have found the truth, hidden in silence and story. You have passed the second trial. Relief washed over Eli, but the moment was brief. Silana spoke again. The final trial is coming. It will test your heart, your loyalty, and your instinct. Eli's pulse quickened. Viralan took his hand. You've done well. Tomorrow, you face the trial of bond. Eli nodded. I won't let you down. That night, as he lay in his glowing room, Eli thought about the lessons of the day. In Threxian culture, silence was not empty. It was full of meaning. In human culture, Silence was often fear or confusion. He wondered, could he learn to speak with silence? Could he teach humans to listen in new ways? As he drifted to sleep, Eli dreamed of worlds connected by quiet understanding, where differences were bridges, not walls. Tomorrow would be the hardest test of all. The morning sun filtered softly through the glowing walls of Eli's room. Today was the day of the final trial, the trial of Bond. The moment he had been preparing for, though no one had told him exactly what to expect. Virelin met him outside his door. Her eyes shone with quiet determination. This one is different. Eli, it is not about tests of mind or courage alone, it is about instinct, about trust. Eli nodded. I understand, I'm ready. Together they walked through the grand halls of House Virex, past silent watchers and glowing symbols that seemed to pulse with life. High Matron Celana awaited them in a large chamber filled with fresh air and soft light. Her 4 arms were folded calmly, her eyes steady. You have learned much about our ways, she said. But the trial of Bond is the most important. It will show whether you can connect not only with Threxians, but with the life around you. Eli's heart beat faster. Celana motioned to the center of the room. The floor shifted and opened, revealing a large platform. Suddenly, Eli felt the room change. The walls faded, replaced by a dense forest filled with unfamiliar sounds and thick trees. In front of him, a large creature appeared. It was unlike anything Eli had ever seen. Strong and covered in thick scales, it moved with a power that made Eli's breath catch. Its eyes glowed amber, and it growled softly. Behind the creature lay Virelin, unconscious and vulnerable. Eli's instincts screamed to fight, but there was no weapon. No way to attack. Celana's voice echoed in the chamber. To save your friend, you must choose. Will you fight or will you bond? Eli's mind raced. He remembered the lessons from the previous trials: honesty, understanding, and connection. Slowly, he stepped forward, speaking softly in the Threxian language Virelin had taught him. The creature snarled, muscles tense. But Eli's calm voice and steady movements seemed to soothe it. He lowered himself to the ground, showing he meant no harm. The beast's growl softened to a curious rumble. Eli reached out a hand. For a moment, the creature hesitated. Then it leaned into his touch. Behind him, Virelin stirred, opening her eyes. The chamber shifted back. High Matron Celana looked at Eli with a new light in her eyes. You chose the path of bond, the courage to trust and connect rather than conquer. This is the greatest strength of all. Eli breathed deeply, relief and pride filling him. Virelin smiled weakly. I knew you could do it. Celana continued. Your journey is not over. You have passed the trials, but now you must understand their meaning. She gestured to the council. The world is changing, and so must we. Your success shows that humanity brings qualities we have lost: flexibility, emotion, and creative instinct. Eli listened closely. Celana spoke with respect and hope. We seek a new alliance, one where humans and Threxians walk side by side, learning from each other. Eli felt the weight of her words. Then Celana surprised him. She said, there is a tradition, a bond that unites families and species. I offer you this bond not as a prisoner but as an honored bridge. Eli's heart pounded. He understood. She proposed a mate bond, a sacred connection meant to unite their peoples. But Eli hesitated. He wanted friendship and trust, but not a bond that might limit his freedom. He looked at Virelin, who nodded softly, understanding his feelings. With respect, Eli said, I am honored, High Matron, but I ask for another way, one that builds bridges without binding chains. Celana considered this. Then she smiled warmly. Then you shall become an ambassador, a symbol of hope and unity, a new path for our peoples. Eli felt hope blossom inside him. Virelin stepped forward. Together we can change the future. The chamber filled with light and quiet joy. Eli knew that this was only the beginning of something greater, a story not just of trials, but of friendship, respect, and new possibilities. As the sun set beyond the floating city, Eli looked out with purpose. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a part of a new story, one where humans and Threxians might walk together as friends. The days that followed felt like a dream to Eli. He moved through the halls of House Virex not as a stranger, but as someone welcomed, carefully, yet warmly. The trials were over, but their meaning was still unfolding. High Matron Silana invited Eli to a private chamber overlooking the glowing city of Threxus. The view was breathtaking. Towering spires bathed in violet light, clouds swirling below like soft waves. Eli, Silana began, her voice calm but firm. You have passed what no human before you has, but passing the trials was never the true goal. Eli listened closely. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, she said. Species grow apart. Old fears and habits hold us back. Threxians have long lived by tradition, but traditions alone cannot face what is coming. Eli thought of the storms that constantly roiled beneath the floating cities. Powerful, unpredictable. Your arrival here, Silana continued, is a sign that change is possible. Humans bring something new, adaptability, passion, and a willingness to challenge old ways. Eli felt a strange pride. I want to help, but why invite me? Why test me so strictly? Silana smiled gently. Because trust must be earned, because your people's past carries shadows, and because without understanding fear remains. She paused, then spoke of the future. There is a proposal, Eli, not just for you, but for all humans and Threxians. We will start a cultural exchange, a program where young Threxians will live and learn on Earth and humans will come here to understand us. Eli's eyes widened. That's incredible. Virellen stepped forward, her voice soft. This is the chance to build real bridges, not just between two people, but between two worlds. Eli nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on him. Then Silana said something unexpected. There is also an offer, a bond of honor. A mate bond between you and Virellen, symbolizing unity between our species. Eli's heart raced. He had known this might come, but he was not sure he was ready. He looked at Virellen. She smiled gently, understanding but patient. With respect, Eli replied, High Matron, I honor your offer. But I believe the strongest bonds are those built by choice, not obligation. I want to build a future with respect and freedom. Silana nodded, her eyes kind. Then you shall be our ambassador, one who stands for unity without chains. The chamber filled with soft light as the ancient symbol of House Virex glowed above them. Eli felt a new strength. He had come as a visitor, but he would leave as a bridge. The days that followed were full of meetings, plans, and hope. Eli worked with scholars and leaders, sharing stories of Earth and learning about Threxus. Virellen was by his side, no longer just a friend, but a partner in this journey. When the time came to return to Earth, Eli stood on the landing platform, looking back one last time at the city above the clouds. Virellen came beside him. Will you come back? She asked. Eli smiled. I will. This is not the end. She nodded. It is just the beginning. As the shuttle rose into the violet sky, Eli looked out at the stars, bright, infinite, and full of possibility. He was no longer just a human far from home. He was part of a story greater than himself, a story where trust, courage, and friendship could change the galaxy, and that story had only just begun.